Lonnie Payne here with another Fiero video. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to change all your exterior lights to LEDs. And in the description below I'll have all the links to all the LEDs I use and the relay that is required. It's a fairly simple process. I'll show you the bulbs as we go as well. And if you're ready, let's get started.
Okay, first we're going to do the parking slash blinker light. And you can see, I know it's kind of hard to see because of the lights and shadows, but you can see the plug down there. That's the light we're going to take out. Maybe a little bit easier for me when I got the hood off because I'm restoring this car. But you should be able to get to it. If it's a little bit too hard to get to, you got this little bolt right here that you can take off. And if you take out that bolt, you can take this entire light assembly and just rotate it back and got all kinds of room to work there. But I'm just going to go ahead and reach in there and grab that plug, take it out. You just turn it counterclockwise just a click and it'll pop out, and then we'll change the bulb. Alright, we'll just take the bulb out. Check the socket. You may need to clean them. This one's actually pretty clean. It doesn't look like it has any dielectric grease in it, so we're going to put a little bit of that on the bulb, just help with corrosion. Alright, this is the bulb we're using. It's got LEDs on the side. It's an amber bulb, and it's got a little, almost like a projector lens on the front. And then these bulbs have two little points on them, so you can only put them in the correct way. You can't put them in backwards. So we got some dielectric grease. Just going to put a little bit on the bulb, just to help with corrosion. And if you try and put the bulb in and twist it clockwise and it won't twist, then you just got it backwards. Switch it to 180 degrees, pop in there. And when you put the socket back in, you may have to twist it around a little bit. You feel it go into the little slots, and then you just give it a little bit of turn clockwise and you'll kind of feel it lock. And you're done. Once it locks, you just kind of give it a little snug and it looks good. You just do that on both sides. Alright, the side marker lights, or the front and the back, are exactly the same. It's just a matter of, I use a red bulb in the back and an amber bulb up front. Since the front of the car is not together, I'm going to show you how to do it on the back, but the front and the back are exactly the same. This is the bulbs I use, and like I said, I'm putting red in the back. Alright, this just turns a little bit counterclockwise and just pull it out. And just put it back in. And there's a little tab that goes in a hole, so you, like I said, the left and right are specific. Alright, just do all four of those. Alright, there are 3 long bolts holding each one of these light assemblies in. It has a little plastic cover that has a little notch on the end, so you just take a little flathead screwdriver, and you don't have to pry. You don't have to really touch the painted part. You just stick it on there just enough and just lift it up, and it'll come right out. Then here's your 3 Phillips head bolts. Alright, so you just gotta work it a little bit and it'll come out. Then you have 4 bulbs in each side. You have the reverse light, 2 brake lights, and then the blinker. And the way these work, they have a little tab on them. And you just got to push that tab down and rotate it. That tab kind of locks it in place. So here's that little tab. Alright, so we're going to just take all these bulbs out. There's a lot of old grease in there, so we're going to have to clean these sockets. Oh yeah, somebody caked it in there. Alright, so I'm going to clean all these sockets, then we'll get the bulbs back in there. Use a little brake parts cleaner. And you don't have to get it perfect, but just get a lot of that old, worn out grease out of there. Ready to put the bulbs in. There are two different kinds of bulbs used in the taillight assembly. The outer three bulbs are all the same. They're 2057s. Same ones that are used up front, except these are red tinted. And they have the tabs at the two different spots, so you have to put them in the correct way. You can't put them in backwards. The reverse light uses an 1156, which the tabs are at the same spot. And even though these are the same manufacturers, you can tell these bulbs are a little bit different. And this bulb has this bigger black shroud on it, and actually that's preventing me from pushing it in to twist it in. So I was just going to leave the regular bulb in there since it's hardly ever used. It's not a normal used bulb, just when you're reversing. But I'm just going to go ahead and modify this light. I'm not going to go look for another one. So I'm just going to take my little mini tool and just grind the corner off of this bottom of this black piece, so that way I can put it in the socket. But you can either do the same thing, find another manufacturer bulb, or just leave your standard bulb in there since it's not a one that's normally illuminated. Okay, what I ended up doing was I reamed the edge off of the bulb a little bit, just using a little stone grinder on my mini tool. But then I also did use the same tool and just reamed out the top edge of the socket. It's probably not worth all the trouble, but since I had the bulbs already, you can just leave the regular bulbs in there if you want. But I did get this one to fit if you want to tackle that. Put a little dielectric grease on there. Alright, now when you're putting this back together, this one's not too bad. It will snap in there. But the little white tab that puts pressure on these little fixes right here to keep it in there, sometimes they don't want to pop back up. I think, they're just wore out. So you may have to help that so it doesn't come undone. There, you can see it, you hear it snap there. Otherwise, these things, the pressure of the wires will sometimes make them come undone as you're putting them in if you don't get that locking pin in there. So you just kind of help it. That's it. Alright, once they're all locked in there. The fastening system is not very robust, so you don't want to over tighten them. Put your little Alright, then we can do the next one. Just for a comparison, set this up and see if we can get a good view of the lights compared to stock lights and see how we look. It's a pretty significant difference. All right, so we'll finish up the other side and then we'll move on. Side marker lights are noticeably brighter as well. Looks really good. All right, if you want to change the license plate lights, you got two of them, and you can reach in this little gap up here, and the socket is kind of like the side marker lights. Just turn it counterclockwise just a little bit and it'll pop out. You can replace. These are the same LEDs that we use in the side marker lights. And just back up in there. And then when you get the socket in the right spot, just a little turn to the right, it'll snap and it'll be done. Forgive the red lenses. Whoever painted this car did a pretty sloppy job. I'll fix that. Do the other side, and that completes the lights. Alright, when you change out your car to LEDs, there's a flasher relay in there that's looking for a specific current that incandescent bulbs give, and so they don't work with LEDs. So when you turn on the flashers after you install these LEDs, this is what happens. Some cars might flash really quick, but in the Fiero, at least in my car, it's solid, so I'm going to show you how to change that relay out. Alright, so under the driver's side dashboard, you can see this little silver, that's a relay, and it's just held on by some metal clips. So we're going to take that out, and we're going to swap that out with one that's made for LEDs. It's just got a plug on it. And I'll show a link below. Here's the relay that we're going to put in. And you don't need a polarity reverser. The only difference is this has a little ground wire that we're going to have to hook up where the original one didn't. All right, once you get it in there, now you just got to find a screw that's going to carry that ground through to the frame of the car. The wire wasn't quite long enough, so I put a little bit of an extension on, and I just went to this bolt that's on the steering column. Nice, good, solid ground, and everything flashes as supposed to now. Blinkers in the back work just fine. Good blinking up front. If you want to know how to install those headlights, there's a link in the description below. Alright, here's the original relay, and when you plug your new relay in, if it doesn't work, the polarity might be backwards on these. They make them two different ways, and if that's the case, then you'll need one of these polarity reversers. Now the link to the one that I bought came with this, but you don't need it. But if you buy a different one than the one I suggested, just be aware that if you plug it in and it doesn't work, it might be backwards. So just a heads up. Well, there you go. You can see it's not a very complex process. Fairly simple, just takes a little bit of time. If you like what you see, please like, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.